gopher. So I went into the hole and I never saw a gopher.
I want to see a wolverine.
I'll die disappointed.
If I was one animal I could see in the wild, I'd like to see a wolverine.
See, you're like, that's next level. I just want a freaking regular gopher in the backyard of Studio
I've seen gophers.
City.
You rarely see them, but I've seen them. But I think
Wolverines are dope. Super cool.
Well, I just think seeing one of them fuckers, and that's rare. It's rare to see one of those things in the wild.
Yeah, my dad wanted to see a bear for 30 years. He had this dream. This is so, half the time I don't know if he's lying or if he's, what the hell's going on. But we're on this plane and he's so excited. He's like, I'm going to see. My dad's a little kind of intuitive that way. And he's like, I'm going to finally do it. I've been looking for 30 years. And when you look hard enough and you're diligent about what you want, I believe that you get it through diligence. And I've been looking for bears for 30 years, whatever. And so he brought catnip so he could get the bear to come out. I'm like, what's the deal? So, of course, my dad ends up going on some hike and he sees a bear and he leaves the catnip for it as a treat. He ends up leaving. And now I was so scared. Catnip gets the cat's hype.
Right.
Like it's like crack.
Yeah.
I'm like, please don't give crack to the bear.
I don't think it works that way.
I hope to God that, I don't know, how would you know? Has anyone ever given catnip to a bear?
I'm sure someone's done it.
That's very niche. I'm pretty sure one person's done it.
Catnip doesn't work on dogs. So why would it work on bears?
I don't know. Dogs aren't bears. I don't know.
They seem to be like more
closer to dogs
like than cat-like.
Well, no bears ended up going ham and doing anything crazy.
Where'd your dad see a bear?
He was somewhere on the East Coast doing a show.
There's plenty of places to see bears. You don't have to wait 30 years.
My dad probably was lazy as hell and probably said, I looked everywhere, probably opened his front fucking door. A bear wasn't standing there and went back inside.
Well, that's what people think when they
worry.
There's no bears left. Go outside. Look, well, just go to the right place.
I've seen bears.
There's plenty of bears.
I spent a little bit of time in Vancouver, BC with my brother. This is actually one of the crazier things I've ever done. People think I'm so crazy, but this is the craziest thing. But it's not even that nuts. I was following like Nat Geo on Instagram and I love the pictures of the spirit bears. I love those like beautiful bears up in BC. And I kind of started reading about the wolf cull up there and I got really kind of invested in these animals. And I sent a DM and said, is there any way that at some point I could go with maybe some of your researchers and I could see some of these bears or wolves for myself? Because I think I'd be even more inspired to kind of like fight for them if I could actually see them and know that they're really real because I've only ever seen them from a picture. And they responded and said, sure. You can come up and hang with the spirit bears. This is kind of like, I don't know if it's catfishing or I don't know what was really going on, but someone's telling me sure. So me and my brother load up. I didn't really want to get my parents involved, so we got a coach flight and had to go through San Francisco. Then we got this shitty little hotel room because we were just trying to, I didn't know how to do it. Everyone's always done my travel for me, managers and all these things. So I was just booking it. So we ended up taking like 2 little planes, 3 boats, and we ended up getting to, with this dude, Ian, who shoots and, for Nat Geo and shoots up in BC, and it was just amazing. And I got to see all the spirit bears. I got to go into like where they do all their research on their boat. So they'll leave these like kind of like trap combs where it just brushes the bear's hair when it walks by, so they can understand kind of more about it and
DNA test.
Yeah, started looking about like all this information. Again, this is one of the kind of weirder things that I've done that I didn't really know who was going to be waiting on that boat. I mean, I know we tell girls not to go out into the middle of a boat.
How old were you when you were doing this?
This was 2 weeks after the VMAs in 2015.
So you're already super famous, and
I was super famous.
Going out there to find bears.
With my brother. There I am. Yeah, there I am. Yeah. And that's
Do you find that if you're not glammed up, like you can kind of sneak around?
Well, this is kind of funny because I think it's happening in a second. They gave me a caterpillar that if you lick its belly, your tongue goes numb.
Oh, great.
And I pretended that it might happen somewhere in here. Oh, yeah, save the BC wolves.
But if like you don't wear makeup and shit, can you sneak around?
Yeah, I sneak around pretty good. It's the voice. It's not the makeup. I just have to shut up. Yeah, it's the voice.
Can you fuck with your voice and make it high? Can you pretend?
Not really. Not really. I have a phone voice, I think. I apparently, I directed this last video, and apparently when I read my presentations, I have like a different voice, like when you answer the phone. But I think it sounds the same. My phone voice, I think, is like, I think it just sounds the same. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's what gets you.
That's what gets me every time.
People know. Yeah, they're like, wait, listen to her.
But the voice.
I'm telling you, it's her.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm telling you, that's fucking Miley Cyrus.
That's the worst when you hear those whispers.
Yeah, those are weird whispers, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Your life of growing up famous is that doesn't end well for most people. You're remarkably together for someone who grew up famous. Mm-hmm. That's it's a weird way. It's a weird alchemy to put together a human being where, in your developmental stages, preteen, in fact, you're hugely famous.
Yeah.
What do you think that did for you?
What did it do for me?
Do you think that's a good thing? Or do you think it's a manageable thing?
I would say it isn't recommended because, like I kind of said in the beginning of this, it's like jumping in the deep end of the pool and not knowing if you can swim or not, and it can go one way or the other. Luckily, I swam.
But it almost always goes the wrong way.
I know.
Almost always.
And that I don't think comes very recommended, and I wouldn't recommend it. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I've kind of been given this like special, I don't know, kind of special understanding of, I don't even know where it comes from because I'm really not religious, and I maybe it comes from like education of getting a good understanding of, I've got kind of a good idea of like what fame does on kind of like if we're looking at it from a level of.
Were you thinking about this when you were young?
I wasn't thinking about this when I was young, but I started thinking about it at the time where I think it kind of mattered that I could go one way or the other, and that was probably when I was 17 and I bought Dr. Amen's book about understanding, like, kind of I get it, why I can't get high enough, like, on drugs, and why I end up doing more drugs than anybody else. I wrote a song where one of the lines says, I'll go toe-to-toe like I'm Ali, like I'll do more. There could be the biggest guy in the room, and I'll say, I'll be able to do more drugs than you. But it's because my level of what high is I felt it from, when you're having 15,000 people scream your name and sing along to your songs, it's like, how you're saying your float tank is getting high without drugs? It's like that, but times a billion.
No, I'm sure.
So it's really hard to come down off that. And I never luckily had a problem with like taking downers to bring myself down, but there was a lot of people around me that was like, just take half of these and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I'm lucky I didn't start messing with downers.
I think it also might have to do with your head injury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that.
There's a real big connection between people with traumatic brain injury and the need for either alcohol or cocaine or something to perturb your natural state of consciousness.
And a lot of my brain is really, really on